1. The question that never fades. An unexamined life is not worth living. Few sentences have haunted human thought as deeply as this one. Spoken by Socrates and preserved by his student Plato, it's more than a philosophical statement. It's a challenge to every person who has ever lived. What does it mean to examine one's life? Why should the pursuit of wisdom matter more than comfort, pleasure, or even survival? For Plato, this question wasn't abstract. It was the key to human freedom. He believed that true happiness was not found in pleasure or wealth, but in understanding. And to understand oneself, to seek truth even when it's painful, is what separates a thoughtful life from an empty one. More than 2,000 years later, that challenge remains. In a world of constant distraction and shallow gratification, Plato's call feels as urgent as ever. 2. Athens and the birth of doubt. To understand Plato's philosophy, we have to return to Athens in the 5th century BCE, one of the most extraordinary cities in history. Athens was the birthplace of democracy, art, and reason, but it was also a city in moral crisis. The long Peloponnesian War with Sparta had drained its spirit, leaving corruption, arrogance, and political instability. It was in this climate that Socrates, an eccentric old man who refused to write a single word, began walking the streets, questioning everyone. He spoke with soldiers, craftsmen, politicians, poets. His questions were disarmingly simple. What is justice? What is virtue? What is the good life? But his insistence that no one truly knew the answers made him enemies. In 399 BCE, the city that prided itself on free thought condemned him to death for corrupting the youth and disrespecting the gods. Plato, who was in his 20s, watched as his teacher calmly accepted the verdict and drank poison. That moment changed him forever. 3. Wisdom over pleasure. To Plato, Socrates' death wasn't a tragedy, it was proof. Proof that a person who lives for wisdom can never be destroyed by ignorance or fear. It showed that truth matters more than pleasure or comfort. For Socrates, pleasure was fleeting. Wisdom was eternal. Plato built his philosophy on that foundation. He asked, why do people so often live for pleasure when reason and virtue lead to greater happiness? His answer, because the soul itself is divided. 4. The divided soul. In the Republic, Plato described the human soul as a city with 3 rulers: reason, which seeks truth and wisdom; spirit, which desires honor and courage; appetite, which craves pleasure, food, money, and comfort. In most of us, he said, the appetites rule. We chase one satisfaction after another, without ever asking what it all means. But when reason governs, the soul becomes just, balanced, and free. It doesn't mean rejecting pleasure, it means understanding it. Pleasure becomes a servant of wisdom, not its master. This harmony within the soul mirrored what Plato believed society should be: ruled by wisdom, guided by courage, and disciplined against excess. 5. The cave and the light. Perhaps Plato's most famous image, the allegory of the cave, captures his philosophy better than any other story. He asks us to imagine people chained in a cave, forced to watch shadows on a wall. They believe those shadows are real. Then one person escapes. At first, the sunlight blinds him, but as his eyes adjust, he sees the true world for the first time, the real forms behind the shadows. When he returns to the cave to tell the others, they mock him. Some even want to kill him. This, Plato said, is the philosopher's journey, the painful escape from illusion to truth. Most people prefer the comfort of the shadows, the pleasure of ignorance, over the blinding light of reality. To examine one's life, then, is to leave the cave. It is to confront what's real, even when it's uncomfortable. 6. Pleasure and the illusion of happiness. Plato warned that the pursuit of pleasure could enslave the soul. In dialogues like Philebus, He explored whether pleasure or wisdom leads to the highest good. He concluded that pleasure is unstable. It comes and goes like waves. Wisdom, however, is steady. Pleasure can deceive us into thinking we're happy when we're merely distracted. Wisdom gives us clarity, purpose, and peace of mind. Plato compared the unexamined life to being ruled by tyrants within our own heart. Desire commands, reason obeys. We chase after wealth, status, and sensation, but in doing so, we become prisoners of our appetites. Only when reason takes the lead does the soul find true freedom. 7. Love and the ladder of ascent. In the Symposium, Plato offered another metaphor, the ladder of love. Love, he said, begins with the attraction to a single beautiful body, but if guided by wisdom, that love evolves. The lover begins to see beauty not just in one person, but in all bodies, then in minds, then in virtues, and finally, in the beauty of truth itself. Each step is a move from the material to the eternal, from desire to understanding, from pleasure to wisdom. The true lover, in Plato's sense, is the philosopher, someone who loves truth so deeply that they are never content with illusions. 8. The philosopher's burden. Plato knew that most people do not want to live the examined life. It demands humility, the admission that we might be wrong. It demands discipline, the courage to resist comfort. And it demands solitude, the willingness to think for oneself. That's why philosophers often appear strange, even dangerous. They question the assumptions that society depends on. Plato saw this firsthand with Socrates. He believed that if Athens had loved wisdom more than pleasure, it might have saved itself from moral collapse. So he imagined a new kind of city, a republic ruled by philosopher kings, where reason and justice, not appetite and ambition, guided the people. It was an ideal, not a plan. But it revealed Plato's conviction: wisdom must rule, or society will decay. 9. The modern cave. More than 2,000 years later, Plato's cave looks strangely familiar. Today's shadows aren't cast on stone walls, they flicker on screens. We live surrounded by endless information, images, and noise. We confuse what is popular with what is true. We chase comfort, attention, and stimulation, believing they'll make us happy. Plato might say that the modern world is a more sophisticated cave, bright, addictive, and comforting, but still a prison of illusions. To live the examined life now is to pause and ask, are we thinking or just reacting? Are we seeking truth or just entertainment? Are our values truly our own or reflections of the crowd? 10. The harmony within. Plato believed that the goal of the examined life is harmony, the alignment of reason, spirit, and desire. He compared the soul to a charioteer driving two horses, one noble and controlled, the other wild and unruly. The charioteer's task is not to destroy the horses, but to guide them in balance. In modern terms, this means living with awareness, neither suppressing emotion nor surrendering to it. It means thinking before acting, seeking truth before pleasure, and living by principle, not impulse. For Plato, this harmony was the highest form of happiness, not the rush of pleasure, but the deep calm of wisdom. 11. Why Plato still matters. Plato's message has survived empires, revolutions, and centuries of change because it speaks to something timeless. Every age has its pleasures, its distractions, its false lights. And in every age, a few people ask the same question: what does it mean to live well? Plato's answer has never changed. To live well is to live thoughtfully, to question, to reason, to seek truth even when it hurts. That's why his ideas influenced everything, from early Christian theology to Enlightenment philosophy, to modern psychology and ethics. Even today, when we talk about meaning, authenticity, or purpose, we are echoing Plato's ancient call. 12. The courage to examine. Socrates' courage at his trial was not in dying. It was in refusing to live unexamined. When asked why he wouldn't stop questioning people, he said, "To fear death is to think one knows what one does not know." For him, ignorance, not death, was the real enemy. Plato inherited that belief and expanded it into a vision of life. A person who lives only for pleasure is like a ship without a compass, drifting wherever the winds of desire blow. But a person who examines their life, who aligns reason with virtue, becomes their own navigator. They may suffer, they may be misunderstood, but they will live with integrity. And that, Plato said, is the essence of happiness. 13. The modern application. What does the examined life look like today? It's not about escaping society or reading philosophy in solitude. It's about awareness. It's pausing before reacting. It's asking why we do what we do. It's replacing constant stimulation with thoughtful reflection. It's about choosing wisdom when pleasure tempts us to settle for less. It's about seeking truth when ignorance feels easier. To examine one's life is to live consciously, to act with purpose, not impulse. And in that awareness lies freedom. 14. The final reflection. Plato's call still whispers through time. The unexamined life is not worth living. He wasn't condemning the unreflective. He was inviting them to awaken. To examine life is to look inward, to question your beliefs, your motives, and your meaning. It is to accept that truth is often uncomfortable, but always liberating. In a world obsessed with pleasure, Plato reminds us, wisdom isn't an escape from life. It's the fullest way of living it. The examined life may not be easy, but it is, as Plato and Socrates both knew, the only one truly worth living. Subscribe to Timeless Questions channel to receive more thought-provoking content about philosophy, human nature, and the mysteries of existence. Because the questions may be ancient, but the wisdom is timeless.